On the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. That's exactly what we're finding out. A lot of information's coming out. A lot of stuff that I think some of us kind of knew already, but certainly getting some specifics, and it's already starting to kind of come out. We're going to talk a lot about that. We've got some interesting news to bring up today. Let's get rolling on it. Big, massive tornado tore through Arkansas, or Arkansas as I like to call it, but considering what's going on there, I'm going to be slightly more respectful, right? Arkansas. We'll say it correctly for the time being. But this is a pretty crazy storm that's happening in the background. I don't know if this chick cusses at all, but it's obviously a lot to take in when you see this giant storm kind of barreling towards you, I think, maybe.
Holy cow. It's big. Oh my god. Oh my god. Look at the debris. It's big enough. Oh my gosh. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's brutal because you can't even see it anymore. And that's the thing. Like tornadoes, I've never been through one. I've been through some really, really gnarly windstorms that were close. I had tornadoes touch down within a number of miles from where I was, but never actually, thank goodness, been through one. That's just, yeah, it's got to be freaky. Freaky. Especially when they happen at night, you can't even see them. It's just craziness. So, yeah, very, very, very sad. Prayers going out to everybody out there. Something that we're starting to understand better, and this is going to continue down the same path. I know we're going to learn more and more every day. But Nancy Pelosi's vineyard, yeah, it receives $14 million a year, or was, from USAID. At least it received $14 million, from USAID for experimental farming. This is an example of how a $174,000 a year salary turns into a $240 million net worth. Is it time for DOGE to audit Pelosi? It's time for somebody to audit Pelosi, certainly the IRS. But it would look political. But considering how much public information's out there that should, raise flags, that would be a perfectly excellent reason. Like, it'd be the same thing if a content creator was running around talking about how they made millions of dollars and have paid zero in taxes or something like that, and then the IRS happens to find that public document that you put out, and then decides to audit you because of it, that would be perfectly legal. They wouldn't be picking on you. You'd be an idiot for telling people and bragging about that, right? So, again, it's kind of interesting how all of this is playing out. It's I think it's kind of the fun part. I wanted to cover this just early, get this out of the way. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. I frankly don't have a lot of faith in the system. I do believe that gold is probably going to go up at least 5,000 and more. So we've still got a lot of growth baked into it. I definitely think we're going to see a major hiccup in the economy at some point here in the not terribly distant future. I know Trump's in office for all the right reasons, and this won't get blamed on him, I doubt. They'll try, maybe. But ultimately, this is probably where we start to diverge from the Fed. Whatever the case is, I think we're still in for a lot of crazy. If you've got a 401k or an IRA, this is just my crazy thoughts. This isn't my good friends at Goldco. They don't think this way. They just handle this process exceptionally well, legally, tax-free, penalty-free, right? They do all that. But Dan's crazy mind, staying in the stock market's not a good idea. Unless you've got someone that's watching out for you, not just a fund, because a lot of these funds go into all sorts of DEI, ESG, all that kind of stuff. They go into all these different investments that you probably don't want to be a part of, and frankly, on paper, look like a good idea until the collapse starts happening. And it's going to be the deep state companies that are going to not do well. The worst, in fact. I don't trust their system. I don't trust keeping my wealth in something that I've spent years and years acquiring, only to have a couple really bad days in the stock market destroy huge percentages of that. Now, they say it's going to come back. They say, all this stuff, but I don't know. Frankly, And if it does, well, we can get back into it. But one of the things that's fun is you can get out of something while you're still sitting kind of at the high point, while there's still a lot of growth left in gold, certainly, silver, a bunch. There's like a multiplier that needs to kick in. We're finding about all sorts of different technologies that are using silver. At some point, silver is going to become a commodity that is, well, becomes more expensive because there's less of it. They're going to be using so much of it for other stuff. They're actually going to, it'll raise the price significantly to where it might make sense to run down and cash in some of these because they're worth 5, 6, 10, 20 times what they were when you bought them. Makes a lot of sense, especially if we are going into a new economy. Get out of their system, folks. I just don't trust it. You can do what you like. I want you to think about it. I want you to get your information. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Find out how you can get out of that system, tax-free, penalty-free, get precious metals. It's physical metals. Okay? They don't send them to you because that's the same thing as cashing out, but they're physical metals. They're put in a trust. It's tax-free. It's penalty-free. These guys are awesome. They have DocuSign. I don't think they have AutoPen. That'd be cool if they did, but they have DocuSign, which is basically the same thing. It's easier, in fact, I think. You don't have to have some little fancy contraption. It's pretty cool. drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. These guys have the best customer service I've ever dealt with, hands down. I am a customer, too. I love them. I love how they helped me get some precious metals, and they did an admirable job doing it. All you got to do, 4 data points, and boom, you're off to the races. And Bob's your uncle, they would say. drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. You also might qualify to up to 10% free silver for the face value of your 401k or IRA. Up to 10% free silver just for letting Goldco help you out. Again, drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. Just a good little fun reminder, especially since Trump has removed their pardon or said their pardon is null and void. Pretty sure this is the face they made too. But knowingly committed sedition and treason. It has never looked on well when people have done that in our government, especially people of power like this. These people will forever be known as the criminals, the criminal conspiracy. I'd be probably adding a few more faces and names to all that, but nonetheless, it will be powerful. Top House Democrats seek DOGE details under the Freedom of Information Act. Now, they're still trying to dig into Musk. The problem they have is Musk is not a government employee. He's not. So they can't get info from Musk. Musk is who they want to get under oath. Musk is who they want to drag in there, and they can't because he's just a volunteer. And so they really can't do that. They have no oversight over him because he's not a government employee. He's just a regular citizen. So they're hating life. Rep. Jamie Raskin, of course, behind these Raskin matey. And Rep. Jerry Connolly from Virginia. They're the top Democrats on the respective panel. They're describing DOGE as being cloaked in secrecy and evidently having broad powers to shutter federal agencies, fire federal workers, and access the most sensitive government databases. They are not doing any of those things. The executive branch is firing these people, or the administrators of these departments are firing these people. DOGE is making recommendations. Again, they continue to try to make fun sorts of noise. This is the Hill. I was expecting it to be like Reuters or something. But they're making a lot of noise like what they're saying is true, but we all know that we can't trust them. We also know that the prior administration, well, they stonewalled so many different investigations. Merrick Garland and Chris Wray were stonewalling everything when it came to the way they had weaponized government against conservative people. Chairman Jim Jordan demanded IRS contractor Charles Littlejohn testify over his leak of tax info for 400,000 Americans, including President Trump. Now, what I love about this story is they keep going off about how DOGE is getting access to sensitive information. We can't trust them. They sent an email that had names and dollar amounts. Oh my gosh, names of possibly companies or people we don't really know. But nothing identifying like a social, just names and dollar amounts. And they freaked out. But oddly, one of their people, one of their deep state thugs, leaked 400,000 Americans' information, all their information, Social Security, how much money they made, where they worked, a whole slew of wonderful things. And they're worried about DOGE, who's so far, come nowhere as close to releasing as much personal information as your very own people have. So, kind of funny. Since the 118th Congress, the committee has been conducting oversight into the unprecedented leak of protected taxpayer information by your client, Charles E. Littlejohn. On January 29, 2024, the Department of Justice allowed Mr. Littlejohn, a former Internal Revenue Service contractor, they allowed him to plead guilty to only one count of unauthorized disclosure of tax information for leaking hundreds of thousands of individuals and entities' tax returns, including President Trump. Since then, the committee has obtained information showing that the scope of the leak is much broader than the Biden-Harris administration led the public to believe, affecting, over 400,000 taxpayers. In light of this new information, Mr. Littlejohn's testimony is critical to the committee's oversight efforts and advancement of potential legislative reforms. We therefore respectfully request his testimony. And boy, oh boy, we hope they get it. Something else interesting that we're finding out right now. Chief Judge Boasberg, this is the guy that was blocking the sending Venezuelans home, even though he wasn't able to block them, and he's very angry about it. And well, our Trump's people, let's put it that way, has responded to him and basically kind of told him to go pound sand in a nice-ish sort of way. But Chief Judge Boasberg blocked the deportation of Tren de Aragua gang members because he prefers having gang members in this country. Gang members that aren't citizens, gang members that have committed atrocious crimes, felonies, and he's protecting them. Now, also interesting is that his daughter apparently works for a 501c3 called Partners for Justice. That gives criminal, illegal aliens and gang members legal advice. This is who Judge Boasberg's daughter is. Conflict of interest? Much? Maybe? Yeah, it seems as though Catherine Boasberg is the daughter. We'll see where that goes and what gets us there. Donald Trump tripped this out. The radical left lunatic of a judge, a troublemaker and agitator, who was sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama, was not elected president. He didn't win the popular vote by a lot. He didn't win all 7 swing states. He didn't win 2,750 to 525 counties. He didn't win anything. I won for many reasons in an overwhelming mandate, but fighting illegal immigration may have been the number one reason for this historic victory. I'm just doing what the voters wanted me to do. This judge, like many of the crooked judges I am forced to appear before, should be impeached. We don't want vicious, violent, and demented criminals, many of them deranged murderers, in our country. Make America great again. So Trump obviously putting out some pretty strong statements, right? And Justice Roberts actually had a comment to him. We'll get to that in a moment. Rep. Brandon Gill, Texas, just introduced articles of impeachment against Judge James Boasberg, saying he is guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors and should be removed from office. I don't agree with this approach of dealing with this problem. First off, it's the exact same thing that the Bidens or the deep state tried to do to us. Keep that in mind. If they tried to do it to us and then we turn around and do it to them, we're no different, all right? We're no different, right? Hypocrites is what we call that. And it's typically what the left is. And I don't like seeing us on the right fall for these traps. I think many, many, many people on our side of the fence will and have. So they're saying we should impeach this guy. What crime has he committed? He hasn't committed a crime. He is trying to block President Trump through legal avenues of doing something he legally has a right to do, but that in and of itself is not necessarily illegal. Does that make him a shit judge? Yes, for sure. But he's operating like many shit judges have in the past. So we'll see, whatever. I know they're trying to impeach him. I don't think it's going to work. Judge Roberts issues a rare public pushback after Trump calls for the judge's impeachment. Now, this, I know, is to a lot of people, it's like, I can't believe Judge Roberts did that. I can't believe he's speaking against Trump. No, this is part of the theater, okay? And one thing that our side forgets, especially us woke Qers and all, right, like us, we're most guilty of this, is we assume that every time we see news in Trump or Roberts or someone like that doing something, we feel like it's an affront on us. But we don't remember, or we forget conveniently, that this is a show for all the other people, more than us. We're already awake. This ain't a show for us. Well, it's a show big time for us, and we know it's a show. So when we get dragged into the drama, you got to remind yourself. It's one of the moments where I see someone with the flashlight and they're freaking out over on the side, and I got to walk up to him and be like, dude, you all right? And he's like, oh my God, I was watching the movie and I'm starting to believe it again. I know you were. It's easy to do, but it's a movie. Everyone else doesn't get it, but sure, we do. So who cares that he said this? It's awesome. This is going to move things forward. I love it. So he says, for more than 2 centuries, it's been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose, which to me is Roberts saying, hey, we got this, which is what I've been asking for a while. I think the Supreme Court's the ones that have to judge and make sure their own branch, judicial branch, is actually behaving the way it should. This is checks and balances. This is what's so awesome about our government, and we're watching it play out in action. The deep state hijacked our government, but because of the Constitution, because of the Bill of Rights, there are things the deep state was not able to do, and we stopped them from pushing further than they wanted to go. So we're unraveling a lot of that. It will take time. It's hopefully not very long, but I mean, everything's happening friggin' fast, especially considering, government we're dealing with. U.S. nonprofit says DOGE has broken into our building. This is another one of those cool kind of ones. This is USIP. This is another one of these executive agencies that are bureaucracies. They literally have people from the Senate. They're the ones that put the people in charge of this oversight agency. It's an agency within the executive branch that is not controlled by the executive branch, but is controlled, sort of, by the legislative branch. And it has the ability to, spend money on the executive branch to do things against what the president wants to do in the executive branch. And that's just wrong. It's the legislative branch does what it does. It makes laws. It legislates laws. If it's got problems, it's got oversight so it can bring people in and find out, do we need to make more laws to deal with this? Maybe should we get rid of some laws that are stupid? Whatever, right? Then you got judicial, the courts, and they got to manage their own world. And then you've got executive. There's 3 equal partners, equal in power, equal in authority, and the ability to check and balance each other, but certainly not control one another. Checks and balances means I can ask you stuff. I can audit you, but I can't force you to do things. And this is what we're really living through right now. So Trump administration, they removed most of the U.S. Institute of Peace board members, and they installed new leadership, escalating its efforts to reshape agencies involved in foreign assistance work. This is like a USAID thing, but smaller. On Monday, the administration sent its newly appointed leader into the independent organization's Washington headquarters, despite resistance from the staff. The remaining 3 board members, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and the National Defense University President Peter Garvin, dismissed President and CEO George Moose on Friday, according to a document obtained by the Associated Press. The move follows a February 19th executive order signed by Trump, which targeted USIP and other agencies for budget cuts and restructuring. USIP employees reported that personnel from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency entered the building Monday, despite protests that the institute is not part of the executive branch. Yet they are. They think they're separate because they're a bureaucracy. Their people are put in by the Senate, not by the Trump, not by the president, not by his people. They literally have an agency within an agency. That'd be like the executive branch having a representative with veto power that could actually alter things and then input them into the legislative branch. Or to have the executive branch have some form of legal stuff that judges now have to answer to before they can do anything else. No, that's not how it works. So we'll see how this all plays out. Again, this is the big part of what's happening is overreach, unquestionably. And this Moose guy, they kicked him out. We've got a new dude in that is going to let DOGE in and check things out. So, White House spokesperson Anna Kelly cited USIP's noncompliance with Trump's orders as the reason for the removal of Kenneth Jackson, with removals, and that Kenneth Jackson was appointed as acting president. Jackson was seen earlier on Monday attempting to enter the USIP building. And they were fighting those efforts as well. Needless to say, they lost. They showed up initially with FBI on Friday, and then they showed up with cops on Monday and apparently got in, best we understand. Here's more nonsense going on at Tesla dealerships. Again, what they would call protests. This is what they call protests. Now, in a lot of people's minds on the left, I'm going to be honest, on the left, a lot of people's minds, this is protest. Not joking. This is actually considered protest. I call this setting a bunch of cars on fire. And again, Musk had a comment to make about this, which was very sad. And he's like, look, Tesla just makes great electric cars. They have nothing to do with this. He says this level of violence is insane and deeply wrong. Tesla just makes electric cars and has done nothing to deserve these evil attacks. This is where they're trying to force Musk into behavior. This is the deep state behind it. The deep state controls these people doing these attacks. These people are being paid, probably by Soros money and everything else. That money is drying up, but they're still moving forward, still making progress. The Department of Justice lawyer who spearheaded the government's efforts in the Perkins Coie case, they've withdrawn. The Deputy Associate Attorney General now taking over as the primary counsel. Dreyer did not present the case himself. Instead, Chad Mizell, the chief of staff, handled the arguments, which is an uncommon occurrence. Whatever the case is, they got rid of the original attorney who probably was not doing a good job. So they're getting rid of that clerk, right? Remove the appearance of Assistant United States Attorney Douglas C. Dreyer as counsel for defendants in the above captioned case. Obviously, they're not happy with how he's doing. This is Edward R. Martin that put this in place. So this is the Trump administration essentially fixing things. So we had bad lawyers trying to do some of these federal cases. And if you've got a bad lawyer, you're going to lose the case, right? No matter what. So we need the right lawyers in there, obviously. And that's happening. Donald Trump made another strong Secret Service move. Hunter Biden has had Secret Service protection for an extended period of time, all paid for by the United States taxpayer. There are as many as 18 people on this detail, which is ridiculous. He is currently vacationing in, of all places, South Africa, where the human rights of people has been strenuously questioned. Because of this, South Africa has been taken off of our list of countries receiving economic and financial assistance. Please be advised that, effective immediately, Hunter Biden will no longer receive Secret Service protection. Likewise, Ashley Biden, who has 13 agents, will be taken off the list. He is dismantling the deep state, and he is saving the United States a bunch of money, and he's also, maybe many would argue, putting some of the most evil people on this planet and some of the most greedy people on this planet, putting them in harm's way. And here's the thing. Some of the most greedy and some of the worst, nastiest people on this planet being in harm's way because of their nastiness, I call that karma. That's what I call that. Trump talks about the JFK files, which are supposed to be released essentially today, and I think we've gotten some of them. We'll get there in a sec.
We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this, and I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow. We are tomorrow announcing.
Yeah, these are being released today. A lot of information is going to come out. Now, again, I'm like a lot of people. I'd kind of rather see the Epstein stuff, but at the same time, I understand this is actually easier to put out, and this is not easy to put out. The Epstein files are going to be very, very difficult for this country. I do definitely believe or even agree. I think there's some other people that are echoing this same concept. There's stuff in there that is so bad that it would likely destroy the United States. And there are many that would say that's good, that's worth it. And I would say, I don't know if I agree. I think some things should survive still. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I definitely think there's some very, very bad people. There's going to be a lot of people exposed. I'm not saying I'm okay with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I think it's so horrendous that it would likely be too much for people to be able to deal with easily. And again, I think a lot of us awakened people forget how many people are just not awake. And again, we think of ourselves when we say, yes, we can, we're ready for it. We are. Not everyone else. Again, we are in a very unique position and not necessarily the right position to be making some of these judgments. A lot of us just want to know because we're curious, and curiosity is definitely what killed the cat. And that's what could very easily happen. Justice Department's National Security Division has been in a scramble trying to meet President Donald Trump's promise on Monday to release the declassified information. They were working long hours through the night trying to basically declassify, make sure that they've got extra sets of eyes on it because there might need to be some redactions, which they're supposed to go minimum redactions. I can't imagine it's going to be redaction free, but which is, yeah, it's just, we'll see. But some stuff has definitely come out. Couple interesting videos that I think you might dig. This one here has to do with LBJ being behind the killing of John F. Kennedy Jr. or John F. Kennedy, sorry.
You're good to see you. How's life treating you today? Well, Saul, it's been a pretty touch and go situation. Lyndon and I have had quite a few unpleasant words here lately over the deal with that he hired Mike Wallace to assassinate the president. It's been hectic in every way, but we've lived through it this far, and I guess we'll continue to do so. Lyndon should have never issued that order to Mike, but we've had our differences, and I'm a true blue to Lyndon, as I've always been, and tried to carry out every order that he'd ever given me. But this is one I'll probably never be able to forget. And the times that we've had in Texas, and the embarrassment that Lyndon had gotten from Kennedy, I guess there wasn't anything else to do but what he did. Well, you know, Lyndon could have really helped me if he would. Well, Lyndon's the kind of person that doesn't want to help anyone. He's all for Lyndon, and that's the way he's pretty much always been. Well, they had me backed up on that Henry Marshall killing, and they just kind of blackmailed me to keep my mouth shut. And if I hadn't had a bunch of tapes that I played after he got killed, because, 17 got killed in this situation very mysteriously. And I've done a lot of time, and I've lost a lot of money, and it's hurt my family a whole lot. And it's really got me disgusted with Lyndon in one way. In one way, I feel real sorry.
So there's a lot of info that's going to continue to come out and stream as people dig through it. And I think it's not going to paint a good picture for the CIA. Here's like 3 different moments in time, it seems, but talking about, Lee Harvey Oswald kind of being a patsy, MK Ultra being used, Jack Ruby and his memories, and how it just seems to be a lot of MK Ultra type stuff. And back then, that was very much when MK Ultra was happening. Now they've gotten so much better with the technology. So much better with the technology. I still think a lot of it's hypnosis. I think hypnosis is pretty commonly used, and it's very easy to program people when you do that, especially if you've potentially got different drugs that they're on that might make them far more receptive of that, and or even possibly, and a lot of it comes into the ability to break their personality into pieces. So they've got little separate subsections within their own consciousness where all sorts of crazy things are hidden. And oftentimes they'll say a key phrase like verbatim or something stupid like that, or, the wind and the sea, and something like that, and that's the trigger. And what it does is it kicks them into that other personality. That other personality is totally unaware of the normal personalities, but it's programmed to do certain things. And it does them because that's all it knows to do. So a lot of the MK Ultra stuff's going to be woo for some people. I think for a lot of us, it's going to be like, duh. But the fact that they've been doing it over 70 years, just imagine how good they are at it now. It's beyond reproach, I'm sure.
In April of 1964, a psychiatrist called Louis Joylan West visited Jack Ruby in his isolation cell in a Dallas jail. According to West's written assessment, he found that Jack Ruby was, quote, technically insane and in need of immediate psychiatric hospitalization. Those are conclusions that, puzzlingly, no one who had spoken to Jack Ruby previously had reached. Ruby had seemed perfectly sane to the people who knew him. Louis Joylan West pronounced him crazy. But what West did not say was that he was working for the CIA at the time. Louis Joylan West was a contract psychiatrist for the spy agency. He was also an expert on mind control and a prominent player in the now infamous MK Ultra program, in which the CIA gave powerful psychiatric drugs to Americans without their knowledge. So of all the psychiatrists in the world, what in the world was this guy doing in Jack Ruby's prison cell?
Who exactly was Lee Harvey Oswald? And why did our government lend a hand to this man? Oswald was discharged from the Marines and defected to the Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War. He walked into the American embassy in Moscow, renounced his citizenship, and declared, quote, "My allegiance is to the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics." Oswald confidently told the Soviets he had information of special interest and spent the next 3 years in the USSR. The Soviets were interested in the information Oswald had. Before defecting, Lee Harvey Oswald served as a Marine Corps radar operator in Japan, a role that gave him crypto clearance, higher than top secret, to one of the two bases where the CIA ran their U-2 spy planes out of. The very planes used to conduct aerial surveillance over Russian territory. 6 months after Oswald defected to Moscow, a U-2 spy plane was shot down by the Soviet Union. The first time in the Cold War era. The pilot, Francis Gary Powers, raised the question of whether it had something to do with Oswald, the self-declared traitor. But the U.S. government didn't treat Oswald like a man who just committed treason. 3 years later, after betraying his country, Oswald decided to come home. And instead of handcuffs, the U.S. Embassy gave Oswald a loan and a passport. And when his passenger ship landed in New Jersey, Oswald, along with his new Russian wife, were welcomed by travel agents with ties to American intelligence. The theory was that Oswald may have been a part of a Navy intelligence program where American officers pretending to be disenchanted with capitalism were dispatched to the Soviet Union. They'd be recruited by the Soviets and then fed back into the United States, acting as what the communists thought were double agents. This would explain why Oswald wasn't arrested for defecting. Instead, he was immediately contacted by George de Morenschildt, known as the Baron, who was working as an intelligence asset for the CIA. The Baron admitted later that a CIA officer told him to contact Lee Harvey Oswald. And what's the first thing he does when he makes contact? The Baron moves him like a pawn to Dallas.
About that. I was there, but I don't remember the exact moment. I don't remember pulling my gun out of my body or whatever it was located, and I don't remember aiming it at any human being. I don't remember any of that, Mr. Prismich. And I've said that from the get-go.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not that I'm trying to evade.
No, I understand. Let me just ask you a question. When did you start remembering things after the shooting? What was the first thought that you had after the shooting?
Everything was always hazy in my head about that. And Attorney Teeter, who passed away, was trying to get a specialist, Dr. Herbert Spiegel in New York, to hypnotize me and to regress me and to do all that.
But when did you start remembering things clearly after the shooting?
I really don't remember things clearly about it.
And again, he mentions hypnotism. He's wants to do the go-to to hypnotism. Why? Anyone that's been hypnotized, the crazy stuff that comes out, and I don't mean it's wrong. I just mean we don't remember it. Subconscious stuff in a lot of cases. Our brains keep track of a lot of information we're not aware that it keeps track of. And if you haven't ever seen someone hypnotized, it'll blow your mind, especially if it's someone you know. And for me, it was grad night. I'll never forget it. And I was one of the people, I was trying to be hypnotized, but I just didn't. I couldn't. I wasn't. And they say there's a small percentage of people that generally can't be hypnotized. Whenever you say that to a hypnotist, they're like, oh, you just haven't had me do it. And it's just for them, it's a challenge. I would never give someone the opportunity to try to hypnotize me again. I'll tell you that much. All said, the things that can be programmed into people. I saw friends of mine barking like dogs anytime someone said ding dong or something like that. Like the dude did crazy little triggers, different ones for all of them. And he'd get somebody to say certain comments that had a trigger word in it that would trigger someone else. And if you just think about the repercussions of that, I can basically hypnotize two people separately, have a trigger word, I don't know, bat mitzvah, right, is in one guy's head. And then I put another trigger word in another person's head, and, rejoice. And every time I say rejoice to that one person, they're like, me and my son went to the bat mitzvah. Just for no reason. They don't even have a son. Doesn't even matter. But the other guy close to him hears bat mitzvah, and he's like, oh. And he's instantly triggered. See, triggering is a funny thing. You can do it through radio, songs, commercials, all sorts of things. Folks, you have no idea, in most cases anyways, not all of you. Some of you have more idea than me probably. But most people have no idea how this works. And it's a trip. So this being part of the Kennedy stuff, yeah, duh. We've been saying MK Ultra forever, but it's a lot of information is going to be coming out to people, about people, and showing how many of us Americans have actually been misled. And it's going to start to implant that possibility into people's conscious and their subconscious, into the zeitgeist, if you will. Now when crazy shit happens, they're going to be like shootings, people driving through crowds, some of the stuff we see nowadays. You're going to have a lot more people go, I wonder who their psychologist was or psychiatrist. Excellent question. And I'll bet there's only a handful of them that we have problems with. And I bet that if you took all the people that do batshit crazy things like that we see sometimes, and figure out who their shrinks are, and put them in a little spreadsheet, because I don't think we need much more than that. And my gosh, what we'd probably figure out. A lot of people talking about this have no idea what the hell's going on. It seems to... so many people, one, are perplexed by the gray checkbox. So John F. Kennedy, apparently, from his grave, created a Twitter account. It was at John Kennedy Gov is the name of the site. Obviously, somebody got this really early on in the game before anyone was paying attention. I don't know how it got the gray checkbox. They probably asked for it, claimed to be something. Maybe Dorsey had something to do with it. Who knows? It doesn't seem like it's been around long. It was just joined in February, so I don't know how they pulled this off, right? I just don't. So everybody's like, oh my God, John F. Kennedy. And he was talking about how hopefully Trump's respectful with the release of documents. Now, this is probably someone that created something that was probably hoping to make money off these releases, maybe. I don't know. But then all of a sudden, everyone started just feeling, oh my God, verified government account for John F. Kennedy? This bottom part, a verified government account, which is questioning, caused all sorts of issues. So now when you go to John Kennedy, and see if it's still suspended. Yeah, still suspended. So the account's been suspended for violating the X rules, probably pretending to be someone they weren't. But then we've got these people talking about all the crap going on with this account. And there's this other account, K-Pad, Tabalong, whatever, which they're not around either. And both of these were following one person, probably each other, and had a number of followers. Quite a few followers, anyways. At least in my opinion. Maybe for some of you guys, that's not that big a deal. But here's some of what they've been talking about. If I can open this, yeah. Do we have no volume? Okay. So yeah, here's the K-Pat Tabalong talking about this Kennedy coin, trying to sell shit. So that should right there tell you it's deep state. No offense. All you guys out there trying to sell coins and make money off it. So So yeah, this tweet may include sensitive content, blah, blah, blah. Tweet violated Twitter rules, probably because it's claiming to be something that it's not. Username was withheld and the country is withheld. So yeah, all this just doesn't fit. There's a lot of weirdness that's around this whole thing. Again, people are still swearing, I think. But K-Pad Tabalong hasn't been shut down because it's not claiming to be JFK. But it's got a gray checkbox. How's that happen? Was it somebody that works there? And that's a strong chance. That's something to keep in mind. Here's the thing. I'm almost sure. Now, maybe this person that had the ability to do this, maybe they've got rights to be able to go in and delete logs. That's possible. It's possible. Unlikely, but possible. And this person that did this probably wasn't thinking like that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm sure Elon Musk will be digging into that interesting little situation. The Declaration of Independence in the Oval Office. I don't know what's up with this post either. So initially, this got shared. 2 different places I found it, and Tori says was the second place I saw it. And her links post better than the other site, so I was like, all right, whatever, we'll post it and talk about it. When I went to @POTUS in Twitter, this post is gone. This post isn't there. I don't know if it ever was there. I don't know if Trump got a bunch of shit for it because everyone was like, you put the real Declaration of Independence in the Oval Office, you're a dick. I'm pretty sure that's not the real Declaration of Independence. I think that's the one that goes down underground and shit. Or that's the Constitution, I think. But I think Declaration of Independence is like bulletproof case and all that shit too, right? I mean, I'm sure it is. I don't know if it goes underground. I saw that, what was that movie, right? The National Treasure, right? When it went down and the guy was trying to heat it up with the laser thing to get the sensor all like, that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, let's be honest. I think that was the Constitution, though. Maybe it was Declaration of Independence. Don't know. I think it might have been this, too. No, who knows? I don't remember. Too long ago. But this is a trip. This disappeared. Again, maybe Trump got shit for it, and he's like, pull it down. Which people do. Dan Scavino posts stuff and then takes it down sometimes. I mean, it happens. But I don't know. I don't know if this is true. This seems weird to me. If it's fake, that's cool. The way it was played out, it's like it's real. So again, I kind of feel like somebody, I don't know if this ever happened. There's a lot of weird shit going on right now. A lot of shenanigans, as I would call it. President Trump's message to all the people here illegally. Use CPB app, deport yourself, or else.
People in our country illegally can self-deport the easy way, or they can get deported the hard way, and that's not pleasant. The Biden administration exploited the CBP One app to allow more than 1 million aliens to illegally enter the United States. Now my administration is launching the CBP Home app to give people in our country illegally an easy way to leave now and self-deport voluntarily. If they do, they could potentially have the opportunity to return legally at some point in the future. But if they do not avail themselves of this opportunity, then they will be found, they will be deported, and they will never be admitted again to the United States, ever again. You're never coming in. Using the CBP Home app to leave the United States voluntarily is the safest option for illegal aliens and our law enforcement. It also saves the U.S. taxpayer dollars and valuable CBP and ICE resources. And all of those resources are necessary to focus on dangerous criminal aliens, and that's what we're focused on. The CBP Home app is now available free across all mobile app stores, and I encourage those who have violated our laws to use this option today. Do it right and come back into our country. Do it wrong and you'll never be back again.
That's the important part, I think, too. For any of us that have friends that are on the illegal side of things, it's like, look, here's the thing. If you get caught breaking the law as somebody that claims to want to be a citizen, and that I literally mean that for people that are trying to get their citizenship, and the people that are at least close to me are, right? And it's very hard. If you're from Mexico or South America or anything like that, it's a much harder process than some of the other countries around the world to get your citizenship. I just think they number it differently, or whatever the set numbers are, they hit that max way sooner than other countries. Like Philippines, I don't think fills up here nearly as quickly as, say, Mexico. Probably. I don't know. I mean, I know a little bit about it, but not a whole lot. So whatever the case is, Trump is basically giving them an option. You want to actually be an American and you're here illegally? That's going to destroy your chances. You'll never be an American if you broke the law to come here. If you want to get a visa and come back and do it that way, yeah, let's try it. But we're giving them a chance to do the right thing, and those that don't are going to be what we call SOL. Shit out of luck. So we've got the government providing urgent notice of developments below. Yesterday, the government provided notice regarding its compliance with the district court's temporary restraining orders. Overnight, plaintiffs responded and asked the district court to compel the government to address operational details regarding flights and removed aliens. It's that Venezuela thing. So they wanted information on the removed aliens identified as associated with the designated foreign terrorist organization. The government's response is also in the attached. The district court has now set an open public hearing for 5 p.m. Eastern and ordered that the government shall be prepared to provide answers to the questions raised by plaintiffs. All the questions at issue relate to past actions, not prospective compliance with the court's order. That development escalates the stakes of the district court's inappropriate exercise of jurisdiction and the risks that the district court may force the government to disclose sensitive national security and operational security concerns or face significant penalties from the court. The government cannot and will not be forced to answer sensitive questions of national security and foreign relations in a rushed posture without orderly briefing and a showing that these questions are somehow material to a live issue, because they're already sent back. What he's claiming, too, is that they already were on their way before the judge ever gave his written order. And his verbal order, it seems like they were already well on their way by the time he gave his verbal order. But it was an hour later that the written order happened, and maybe they were across the line at that point. I don't know. He says the district court's hasty public inquiry into these sensitive national security matters with no contemplated protections against disclosure of operational details underscores the urgency of immediate relief from this court, including an immediate administrative stay that would allow further briefing to unfold in an orderly and appropriate manner and prevents the district court from further efforts to interfere with President Trump's core Article 2 authorities, including the conduct of foreign policy. This court should also immediately resign this case to another district court judge, given the highly unusual and improper procedures. Example, certification of a class action involving members of a designated foreign terrorist organization in less than 18 hours with no discovery and no briefing from the government that have been employed in the district court's proceedings to date. Basically saying, you guys are doing insane stuff. You must stop. Probably should have had this over there, but it seemed fitting for whatever reason. So, interesting. Oh, I think this is Jon Stewart. Yeah, this was awesome. It's worth it. I love Jon Stewart too much. You guys know that. Have watched me for any length of time. And dadgummit, this was funny. This was just very funny. He starts at first, though. He got me at first. It's like, it's one of the shitty ones where he's going to be a dick. And then very quickly, it turns around. Trust me. You'll like this.
It felt like this was a total capitulation. Senator Schumer just felt like this wasn't the moment for Democrats to press their case because Trump is still too strong.
When he went below 40% in the polls, the Republican legislators started working with us. He was at 51. He's now at 48. We're going to keep at it until he goes below 40. When it happens, I am hopeful that our Republican colleagues will resume working with us.
You're going to keep at it. Keep at it. And what? This was it. This was the it that you would have been keeping at. The keeping of the it. It's not the keeping of the it. That's the issue. It's what the it. Don't you have to start it to keep at it? If this wasn't it, then what is it if this not be it? But apparently the grand plan is Dems keep fecklessly complaining until the 48 approval comes down to 40. which is a plan, but it's forgetting one crucial piece of information in Schumer's popularity calculation.
Devastating, cascading poll numbers for Democrats. Only 27% of voters have a positive view of the party. The lowest favorability rating in the history of NBC's polling.
You're at 27%. You've got to get Trump to lose 8 points of popularity just for you to get to the point where you're 13 points below him. Your approval is only 7 points above, where it turns red and goes into low power mode. Maybe you're not a numbers learner. Maybe a visual demonstration of where you're here. Let me meet you where you live. All right, here we go. This is not. I'm going to do this. This is 48% approval. This is them. This is you. This is you. 27%. This is them. Oh, I see. They're much higher. Yes, they're much higher. And if you keep this up, you'll be wearing these on your dick. Do you understand? Jesus. Perhaps I'm being too hard on the Senate. Although I am not. Perhaps he has insider knowledge of a quiet, smoldering Republican amenability to compromise. Perhaps underneath that hard shell of Republican intransigence is a soft, nougaty center of responsible legislative leadership waiting to be freed. Bargains! Driven in the hallowed yet marbled halls of power. Or maybe someplace mustier.
I talk to them. One of the places I told them to go in the gym, you know, when you're on that bike in your shorts, panting away next to a Republican, a lot of the inhibitions come off.
That's your plan. I'm going to dangle my balls out of my shorts and maybe at the gym. Oh, you know, they're going to lose all their inhibitions on the equipment. You know, actually, Chuck, I would like to work with you on Medicaid reform. And also, I never told anybody this, but I once jerked a guy off in a park. Oh, this elliptical, I just lose my inhibitions. And you know, I would probably be just a skosh more receptive to Schumer's theory of gym-based negotiation strategies if it had worked the last time.
We talk to our Republican colleagues all the time. I talk to them all in the gym. When you're a 60-year-old on a bike panting in your shorts, the inhibitions sort of fall away.
You know, I'm not here to posture shame. But for a guy who seems to be spending most of his life in the gym, a little less chunky talk, a little more core. Second of all, in the gym, they're only being agreeable with you because they want you to leave them alone. In the gym, on the stationary bike. Oh, sure, Chuck, yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. But I have to tell you something. Pedaling really hard and not going anywhere, it's a great metaphor for the Democratic Party right now. Really. Also, Boasberg.
I can't help but love this dude. I know. If any of you don't, I'm sorry. But like I've told people before, like my parents used to, my family, like, you remind us of Jon Stewart or John, whatever. And it was just the coolest compliment I've ever gotten. There's been a few people. The other one was Mike Rowe. Mike Rowe is another one that I've reminded people of before, which was super cool. I haven't really gotten anyone's telling me I remind them of someone like totally douchey. I'm betting. I'm betting some of the people that are already blocked on my email are probably busy writing an email as I say this. But needless to say, funny as hell. And yes, things are changing. And quickly. Donald Trump, truth this, I am pleased to announce the nomination of Brian Bedford to serve as administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration. Finally. As the former president and CEO of Republic Airways, Masaba Airlines, and Business Express Airlines, 3 airlines I've never fucking heard of, by the way. That doesn't bring me a lot of hope. I'm just saying, maybe they're super big. Never heard of them. Business Express Airlines? No, don't. And it's probably rich people airlines. I don't even know. Whatever the case is. Who cares? It's just probably because I'm poor. Brian brings over 3 decades of experience in aviation and executive leadership to this critical position. Brian will work with our great Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, to strongly reform the agency, safeguard our exports, and ensure the safety of nearly 1 billion annual passenger movements. Strongly reform the agency, safeguard our exports. That's a very interesting line. I didn't really see that the first time I read it. Let's think about that for half a second. Our exports, because that's going to be a big deal. That's why Trump's charging tariffs to get manufacturing to come here, which would imply exports. A lot of people are saying, how are you going to pay for your taxes if you don't have taxes? How are you going to pay for government if you don't have taxes? This is one we get all the time, guys. I got one before, and I wasn't able to answer it. I said, I don't know. Kind of it's because we're figuring it out, but that he felt powerful saying it, and he's on vacation now, so I haven't been able to, like immediately that same day, I almost texted him like, nah, whatever the fuck. He's a teacher from Boston. Get the shit out of here, right? Right now, it's not wicked pissa between us. But I realized, when you start selling oil, like we're going to be, and you start selling products that you are making money on, then, you actually don't have to tax your own people as much or at all. And again, I'm all for getting rid of the IRS. All for it. Is there going to be a process, a limitation, a limiting of all that? Yeah, sure. That's going to happen, right? And obviously, people, it's going to, work its way up too, right? I mean, I worked in IT and stuff. It's not like I made a shit salary, so I sometimes am not on the same. I don't make that much. I'm like right on the low end, unfortunately, of the next level. It fucking sucks, actually, frankly, because you miss out on a lot of cool stuff, and you're like, well, I do make some decent money, but you get hosed on taxes and everything. Anyways, I'm not bitching, but it's just kidding. I worked hard, like many years in the IT industry to work up to a barely 6-figure salary. Barely. I mean, this is California, too. Just keep that in mind as well. I know for people out in Tennessee, you're like, dude! Yeah, but still. IRS whistleblowers who investigated Hunter Biden and were ostracized are promoted at Treasury Department. That's good. The 2 guys, Ziegler and Shapley? Finally, they get promoted. They were getting hammered. IRS was going after them. All sorts of crazy shit was happening. That's been stopped. These guys were the ones that actually got that deal that Hunter was going to get, where he was going to get immunity. Remember that deal? Yeah, that's what that was about. Holy crap, this video is crazy. Anyway, that's what the story was about. Now I'm just more enthralled with the fact that it's one of the tornadoes, I'm guessing. I better pause this before I get distracted. VA is planning to phase out treatment for gender dysphoria. They're going to phase it out. It's going to kind of start hard, though. Like, we're pretty much not going to give drugs anymore for that kind of stuff. We're not paying for that shit. We're not going to allow new people to come in, that kind of stuff. And then they're going to slowly anyone that's in the system, if you will, is going to be appropriately processed to a certain point, and then probably cut loose and warned early on, right? So, yeah, it's not like we're going to pay for this for the rest of your life. And that's one of the things that's happened is this deep state has rewarded people that are willing to do this. And what this is experimentation. This is genetics experimentation. This is the most amazing genetic experiments. Genetic. What? It's like a state of genetics? What is that? Anyway. Genetic. Yeah, it's right. It's right over there by Connecticut. Genetic. It's right. Like those people that don't have electricity and ride horses and stuff. Isn't that in genetic? Anyway. I had to at least make something out of that. That was weird as fuck. I love it. VA to phase out treatment for gender dysphoria. We're done with that story, because they all moved to Connecticut. GOP rep unveils bill to prevent federal dollars from subsidizing sex change surgeries. Again, I'm not for or against any of this crap. This is one of the hills I will not die on. I'll tell you that, guys. Anybody wants to go and cut off their wanker? All right, as long as you're over 18. All right, I got a transgender niece. And again, she is, I don't know, whatever. And I misgendered her like 5-6 times. It was so horrible. It was such a friggin' horrible experience. Like, me and my brother are definitely not talking right now. It didn't go well. It was tough. We just didn't get along with anything. He's like super, super liberal. And I am not. I'm just very middle center, though. Like, I try so hard. But I am not strong enough. I'm still a Padawan, it seems. But yeah, it was a fudge. So again, I'm just being open so you guys understand why I'm much more open to the concept. If you want to cut your dick off, cut your dick off. I don't give a shit. If you want to try to add a dick to you, or add a dick to me, they'd say, because it sounds cool when you say it. Yeah, it's a procedure where they put one on you, right? Add a dick to me. But if you're a child, we can't talk about when you're a child. If you could figure it out on your own and somehow that gets brought up and you tell your parents, which is how it should happen, and then your parents are involved, awesome. But if you just go out and start talking to your fucking crazy ass teacher, and then they start filling your head full of just, it's like, like coming to a conspiracy theorist. Like, how many people on the left do you think would love it if somebody just came to a conspiracy theorist like one of us and start asking us questions? That was their way of resolving these problems. They're like, don't talk to them. That's like feeding the birds. Fudge. Don't feed the animals. We're down such a freaking awesome place. I am seeing the teetering. It's just friggin' awesome. You guys, for those of you that can't see it, trust me, we're in such a good place right now. But, we're not done with the bullshit. That's the problem. But anyway, we got another guy unveiling a bill to stop federal dollars from subsidizing sex change surgeries. I don't know why that derailed me so much. That's fun. Trump gains first new appellate court vacancy in the Ninth Circuit. Now, he's replacing somebody that was put in by Bush, I think it was. Yeah, George W. Bush in 2006. Get the Bush. Okay, and we're going to put another conservative in there. Hopefully, maybe the one that was in there, Ikuta, cool name. I'm guessing Asian. Sandra, hope she looks good, even though she's old. Sandra Seagal, like Steven Seagal. Does she know like that weird thing? She can bend you and break your arm in half. Ikuta. Anyway, I got to just get through the news. I got to stop having too much fun with it. That's the problem. That's where I'm at with it right now. I want to have fun with the news. I want to slap it, and I shouldn't. Yeah, so he's going to be able to fill the seat, hopefully put the right kind of person in there. There's still, it's a three-judge circuit, right? Am I wrong on that? I think it is. So you got one of them that are good, and the other two are going to be friggin' crazy, but maybe one of those other two might have to go here in the near future. And so I think that kind of stuff's going to happen. Either A, they're going to be exposed because some of these people are dirty. B, they've done dirty things in the past. C, they're involved in cases they shouldn't be. Whatever. There's a lot of things that can be dug into on any one of these people. And then you just kind of walk up to, this is what the deep state does to us. So this is what they're going to have done to them. And you walk up and you're like, psst. And they're like, what? And you're like, I know what you did last summer. I think you guys remember that movie, right? There's a movie for that, I hope. Anyway, so that's what happens. And then, they step down and get a book deal or something. We're okay with that. You want to write a book? Don't be mean to Trump, but yeah, write a book. Talk about the greatness of being a judge, and you're going to retire, right? And so that's how it goes. So, folks, a lot of stuff's going to happen. People will step down. We will never know about their Epstein, Diddy involvement, ever. Ever. Some we will. The ones that don't heed. So, yeah, guys, we're going to go as we go. So, thank you, U.S. Circuit Judge Sandra Seagal Ikuta. Well done. FBI hands over Biden-era weaponization scandal documents to Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan's getting everything that was being stonewalled to him. Everything. All of it. Cash is like, I'm going as quick as I can, dude. Going as quick as I can. You want me to text a few of these? What do you want? Well, come on. And he's like, no, just keep. They're ahead of schedule. Just let that mist rain down on you. They are ahead of schedule and still getting them documents. What would have the Biden administration done? Well, we don't know. It's involved in an investigation. These guys literally are like just printing as fast as they can, or, exporting it, whatever. However they're doing it. Did I need to read that story? Yeah, they can now confirm the FBI's they extradited. Yeah, this was an important story. They extradited one of the 10 most wanted from Mexico. MS-13 dude, Francisco Javier Roman Bardales. I got to put on my Mexican face to say it. Francisco Javier. He's a bad dude, and I don't think they want to leave him in those jails down there, mainly because you've seen the movies. I mean, I'm sure it's true. But the cartels come in there with a couple like Humvees or even maybe one armored thing that can smash through the wall of the prison and just pull the dude right out, and they just come in, right? Like they're pew 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 all over the place, or shooting flashlights, doing disco, whatever the censors prefer. But so that's kind of we pulled him in. That dude's coming here. He's getting locked down. Not sure where. I mean, hopefully we send his ass to Guantanamo, but I don't know. That's weird. And then again, if you put too many really good people in Guantanamo, then how much do we gotta guard that? Right? Think about how many countries would pay huge sums of money to get just a person or 5 of those people out of there. Yeah, you start running into a very interesting problem that many don't think about. I just did, so I don't even normally think about that. Plane crash off Caribbean island kills at least 12 people. I don't know what's up with this. This is a weird story. I saw 2 stories of 2 plane crashes. I think they're the same one. I went trying to find the other one. I was like, I don't friggin' remember where I saw that. Plane crash, 12 people. Always got to wonder who it is, especially when we're finding out about it. I don't know. I don't think we hear about every plane crash. Maybe we do. I don't think so. I love this company. I really love this company, especially with all the storms going on. First off, I can't even remember the brand because it's like I've got one. It's Chinese made, and it's the EcoFlow, and it's good. It's plastic. It's not metal. It's not stable. It's not made in America. It's made in China. The EcoFlow. It works fine, but this actually works good. It's got the metal case on the outside. Let me tell you something. If you're not plugged in, okay, if you got plugs in there, it kind of changes the Faraday cage concept. But if you're not plugged in and we have an EMP in some weird way, the solar storm goes, and then all of a sudden everything that's electric goes, right? This will still work. It will. If it's plugged in, I don't think so. I think that's why they're careful with their verbiage. But you're messing the Faraday cage up by having a thing shoved through it. I don't even know how that behaves. I've never played with a Faraday cage like that. But I know in a Faraday cage is a metal cage, and all the electrical current goes in the outside of the cage. There's a big famous experiment of Tesla standing inside of a metal ball or box. And there's this giant Tesla coil. It's just just shooting electricity down. You like my sound effects? They're very low budget. I've been working on that one all week. I've actually translated it to Spanish. Listen. Yeah, you see how that how I subtly changed it? Powerful product. EnergyTech.com. This thing's 1,500 watts. It'll run a refrigerator. It ran my flat panel TV. It tripped me out that it actually worked like that. I was like, holy crap. And there was still plenty of room to go. It was actually only 400. By the way, my Samsung was only 400 watts or something it was running when it finally I was like, holy, this is 1,500. I could run a refrigerator and the compressor could be going and I could still have my TV on. This thing is awesome. You can charge laptop 100 times. There's crazy stats. There's a whole bunch of these. They've got different size ones. They've also got the ability to add additional batteries. This is what's called the head unit. This thing's so fun. I love this thing. I've actually got it over there. It's heavy as hell. I'd show it to you. It's literally 40 pounds. It's freaking heavy. The top part, though, is cool. It's the head unit. Like I said, it's the important part of all that. This is the battery, the TAC battery. You can actually stack 4 of these. You can get a bunch. And you can have multiple batteries that I think they're all in series probably, but whatever the case is, and you can run stuff for extended periods of time. This thing is awesome. Like I said, heavy as hell, but amazing. It'll take spikes up to 3,000 watts, which means when the compressor kicks on, it's that first little spike where you first fire up your computer or laptop, it hits higher than it's going to run. It'll run lower, it'll hit high. That's the spike. You've got a 3,000 watt spike. You've got room for some of that shenanigan. baked right into this bad boy. It's a beautiful product. They're not cheap, but they're also one of the best that's made. American made. They make them for the military. Think about that for a second. This is military grade type stuff. It's awesome. I love this company. I love the product. I've used it for a few things. I've experimented on some stuff. It's just, I've got a funky fuse, and I've got this fake fireplace, and if I turn the heater part on, it just draws like hardcore. I was able to run it on this. I was like, that's awesome. Because it kept, like, if I have that going, and like I turn on a vacuum or a blender somewhere, it like freaking kicks the circuit. It sucks. I gotta get that worked on. Anyway, energytech.com/on the fringe. On the fringe is your magic. This product is incredible. I love it. I've done a bunch of stuff with it. Again, it is an emergency thing. You can charge cell phone multiple times. You can charge laptops many times. Like, it is a very, very powerful device. And again, if you camp, there's solar panels you can get for it and charge. It charges up really fast, especially if you get all 4 solar panels. That's the max you can do. It charges faster than if you plug it in. And doing that, it took, I don't know, like 12 hours. Charge it from pretty much zero to hero. So yeah, about 12 hours. Solar, you can do it in about 3 if you've got all 4 panels. This thing's epic if you're out on the road, you're an RV guy. So again, highly recommend looking into it. Energytech.com. Energy, I-N-E-R-G-Y, tech, T-E-K. Energy Tech. It's like energy. It's like how you'd say it if you're from the South. Energy. Energytech.com/on the fringe. Love this product. You guys should definitely check it out, and it will be a lifesaver you watch, especially when we get closer to some of the cray. HHS finds Maine guilty of Title IX violations for letting males play in girls' sports. They're actually going after them, shutting them down and all that. So that is good stuff. We'll find out where that continues to go. We've been hearing noise about it for like weeks now, it seems. But they're getting very official. They're actually sending in Department of Justice, too, to start an investigation. I believe it was one of the things I pulled out of this particular article, which was also like, oh, no way. Okay, so there's like an investigation. There it is, U.S. Department of Justice. Yeah, they're going to, for appropriate actions on how to handle this. So we'll see. We'll see. They're offering them an opportunity to commit. Otherwise, we're going to come and start digging. Newsom, I don't know why I got this in here, but he's sent a bunch of prepaid phones, like we'd call burner phones, basically, to tech CEOs. It's like, hey, here's a phone that's got his number programmed into it or something. Like, first off, dude, you're wasting California money. I don't care how you slice that, right? Even if you spent $50 on each one of these, I don't even know what a burner phone costs, frankly. Probably, I hope it's more than that. $50, and you just pay for minutes? How does that even work? Anyway, I don't know enough about it. I've heard stories. I know people, but I've never really asked. One of the leaders of Black Lives Matter in Seattle, in the Seattle King County area, I think they were in one of the Snohomish Regional Drug Task Force, caught this dude. Dude had a crap ton of cocaine, 2,818 grams. Lizard. Is it 28 grams in an ounce? I just feel like pulling up my calculator all of a sudden. Right? 28 grams in an ounce, I believe. Yeah, it is. I'm just now remembering my days of, well, it's pot. I definitely enjoyed that. But all right, let's do this. So let's do, 2818. 2818 divided by, 28. Damn, 100 ounces of Coke. Crap, I've never done Coke before. I got friends that would probably start like salivating. In fact, that teacher guy I know, he said he used to love that back in the day. So anyway, it's just funny. I've never done it. I know I'd like it. I've just never done it. That's just, I've tried a few things for sure. That's not one of them. Nor raw cocaine. Yeah. It's close to someone that smoked crack one time. It was like, smelled like plastic. It was weird. I'm very curious. I mean, I don't want to do it. I got friends that do it. I watch them. I'm like, I think it's funny as hell watching them do it, but I don't want to do it. Bill Gates warns White House he's not going to be able to fill these shortfalls of all this USAID funding cuts. And it's like, I don't know. Okay, cool. Don't. Thanks. We can put you out of business too. And you got to figure, how much of Bill Gates' money was coming from all that type of stuff, right? And he's just running around saying all the right things as he lets these funds go in and out of his organization, Bill and Melinda Gates, the Clinton Foundation, all these different foundations. Stuff's crumbling, folks. It's crumbling. It's not going to come down totally quiet. It's definitely, watch. Be careful. Don't get too close. Donald Trump truthed this out. I am pleased to announce a new board of visitors for our nation's oldest military academy, West Point. Major General David Bellavia, Lieutenant General Dan Walrath, and General Michael Flynn, Congressman Wesley Hunt, Maureen Bannon, and Megan Mobbs are hereby appointed to the board. They will make our country proud. Congratulations to all. Something huge that's been pointed out is where he specifically, because he names everybody, Major General, Lieutenant General, Lieutenant, but not Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. He's no longer Lieutenant. He's now General Flynn. That's I think, from what I was seeing, a promotion. It's above Lieutenant General. He's now full-blown, smack dab, up your ass General, which I think is 4-star, I think. Because I think he was 3. So that's something. Trump doesn't do shit like this on accident. That's something to keep in mind. And then especially the argument that everybody that's saying that Trump doesn't actually love Flynn. Anybody that's been saying that for a long time, you can love him as much as you want to love him, but you should be very, very, I'm sorry, they should lose an insane number of points for being so wrong for so long, because this is the proof. This is the proof. Trump loves Flynn. Period. Kind of there, just saying. Justice Department and FBI on Monday launched a task force to investigate Hamas for the October 7th attack on Israel. What I have a weird time with on this is, why the fuck are we looking into that? Why? Now, a lot of people have made the argument that Israel is really just this weird wing of us or of the crown, or I don't know. It all gets complex when you start really digging down those rabbit holes. You're like, maybe, have I already been here before or no? Whatever the case is, it's very strange that we're investigating what happened in Israel on October 7th. Now, again, not opposed. Certainly a horrible, tragic day. I'm glad the dates there have kind of get back into my memory a little bit. But this is extraordinarily strange in my mind. Why are, and Trump's behind this, why are we spending our money on this? I don't know. I mean, we're going to figure it out, obviously. We'll get into it. We'll get there. Find out more shit when it gets upon us, but the whole question of why we're even there to begin with. Pentagon, I was just wrong about this story. I wasn't wrong. I was wrong about where it was at. I thought it was on the West Coast. I spoke about it like it went to San Diego. Like, I was just assuming that, by the way, because it was on the West Coast, could have been up in the Seattle area too, but it was going to be, handling the southern area. It's actually cruising around in the Gulf of America, supposedly, which is very interesting, because that's specifically like Mexico, cartels. We're putting a ship with cruise missiles, and these are appropriate. You shoot these in at like Russia or China, they'll get shot down for sure. You shoot these in against a military, they'll get shot down for sure. Some of these cruise missiles, we got some high-tech ones, but not as many. But these ones that we got a crap ton of the, I'm drawing a blank on the name, it won't matter. Tomahawks, thank you. Whoever it was. Tomahawk, okay. But they are launching Tomahawks. They're slow. They fly low. They're hard to see, but they're extraordinarily accurate. They're GPS guided. They're fantastic. They're just slow. They're easy to shoot down. But not when you're a cartel. Shizzle's about to get real, guys, and affect stock market. Keep that in mind. DRSlikesgold.com. I'm telling you, you're only going to get so many warnings before I think it's going to be too late. And I think there's a lot of people that believe, they're not going to let us lose our retirements. I've said before, you could be flat broke and you'll still be fine. You won't feel the same way about everything, but you'll be fine. You'll be okay. We'll make sure you make it through this. But you could protect a lot of your wealth. Just saying. Canada's Carney picks Australian partner for Arctic radar system. This just seemed weird to me. I don't know, guys. Help me out here. Any of you guys, I got a couple of you guys that hit me up that are on the military side, but the Prime Minister Sinister of Canada, or said Canada's going to help. Sorry, this guy's from Australia, Australianite. And they've got some new crazy radar system they've developed. I don't know if this is part of the deal that we've made with them. They spent a crap ton of money on it. They've made this deal with Canada to install it. Now, I think And I think maybe Australia might fall into our pole. It would make sense because it's reasonably close. It's just way the hell on the other side of the friggin' Earth. But it's this might be a way for them to start building something in the Arctic, which we need that from the standpoint of nuclear missiles coming from China and other things like that. They're going to come over the pole. So we need a whole lot of equipment put there, and or possibly related to some of the other crazy shit that's likely going to happen to us over the next number of years. That would be Antarctica and North Pole would be two very, very important places to have stuff of weapon class. And these won't just be what they tell us they are. So this radar is probably to be able to see all sorts of crazy things, not just on the planet, but well out into space. And I maybe would, we've got a lot of stuff out there that they're keeping track of. Yeah, I'll say that with confidence. We're wondering, and Greenland's going to fall into that at some point. So this just is weird. It's like, Canada's making this deal, but I think ultimately Canada's probably going to become the 51st state. No offense to my Canadian friends. I think it's actually going to happen, though. Donald Trump truthed this, and he was talking about today that he was going to be speaking with Putin. That happened. It was a 2-hour phone call, and they're calling this the readout of the call. They spoke for 2 hours, and these 4 paragraphs are the readout. But I guess this is, the high points, and obviously they're not going to tell us everything. Today, President Trump and President Putin spoke about the need for peace and ceasefire in the Ukraine war. Both leaders agree this conflict needs to end with a lasting peace. They also stressed the need for improved bilateral relations between the United States and Russia. The blood and treasure that both Ukraine and Russia have been spending in this war would be better spent on the needs of their people. This conflict should never have started and should have been ended long ago with sincere and good faith peace efforts. The leaders agreed that the movement to peace will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire, as well as technical negotiations on implementation of a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea, full ceasefire, and permanent peace. These negotiations will begin immediately in the Middle East. The leaders spoke broadly about the Middle East as a region of potential cooperation to prevent future conflicts. They further discussed the need to stop proliferation of strategic weapons and will engage with others to ensure the broadest possible application. The two leaders shared the view that Iran should never be in a position to destroy Israel. That's powerful. They both agree they shouldn't have nukes, essentially, and other things probably. The two leaders agreed that a future with an improved bilateral relationship between the United States and Russia has huge upside. This includes enormous economic deals and geopolitical stability when peace has been achieved. I do think it's interesting that they're talking about a ceasefire on energy and infrastructure. So don't take out really important stuff anymore, because we're going to have to rebuild it anyway. So stop blowing that shit up. And all right, if you want to take out specific targets or people of interest, we're okay with that. In fact, you might want to hurry up. Nudge, nudge. So we'll see how that continues to play out. Cool videos here. I don't know, a lot of attacks going on in the Middle East, continuing in Yemen, taking out Houthis or Hamas, whoever it is, ISIS too. I think there's, they're all those letters. They're going after the rest of there's the LGBTQ crowd here, and then all the other letters are being attacked right now out by Israel. Now, any of you guys that are actually paying any attention and don't know anything about planes, I used to grow up by a military base. This right here, a lot of you guys might be like, what? Do they have, is those lights? They are lights. They're formation lights. They're actually really cool. And they happen to be this color because the color blue and green and stuff like that, it actually doesn't have a very long wavelength, so it actually kind of can't be seen far away. That's why sunsets tend to be more red than other things, because red's a color that can travel through all sorts of layers of atmosphere and still survive because it's got a much longer wavelength. All said, formation lights, you can see them up close, you can't see them far away. And they're helpful because when you're a pilot flying at night and you got to get up even remotely close to a wingman, it's nice to know where they are visually, because it's very hard to see, and a lot of times you're going to be following him, or you at least want to make sure relative to him you're holding your line, because again, you've got a leader of the formation and then you've got everyone else that's following them. And yeah, you could say, well, just put the heading on a such and such. It doesn't work out quite that well. You'll start to drift and stuff. Anyway, all said, I love this stuff. I love planes. It's unfortunate I couldn't have become a pilot, but then I wouldn't be who I am today. Whatever. Israel resumes war. They carried out strikes in Gaza and as well as Lebanon and Syria. So there was a hit in Gaza. From what I understand, they hit 3 homes. I'm wondering what was in those homes. The way I found out about the 3 homes was through like Politico or Axios, one of the two. I think it was Politico. So I knew there was a spin on it. So again, I'm assuming these are bad guys' homes, trying to get as many people out of Gaza. They've been telling them, get the hell out. They're clearing out Gaza, and they're going to rebuild Gaza. Gaza is destroyed, horrible war zone. I think this is an actual legit picture, right? That just shows destruction like everywhere. Like that's just can't happen, right? Like we got to fix all this. Like we got to, again, it's going to create jobs for a lot of people that I don't know how I'm going to do anything. AI is going to take everyone's job. If you can swing a hammer, we're going to need people like that too. So whatever. AI is going to be a long ass time before AI is actually digging pipes for us, though it'd be cool. Taiwan says it detected 59 Chinese aircraft around the island. I don't know if that's the biggest number, but that's pretty big. It's up there. Don't know if anything more came from it. That was kind of all I saw. Google said they're going to buy cybersecurity firm Wiz for $32 billion. It's the largest deal in the company's history. They're losing Chrome, and now they're trying to get something else. Wiz, they're going to get the Wiz kid going on. I think it's part of their AI thing, too, that they're going for. What is Wiz? It's a cybersecurity firm, yeah. Especially as we get into quantum computing and stuff like that. Yeah, they need to be so far ahead of that. So this probably ties into some of that too. Finally, New Scientist posted this: 23andMe DNA researchers claim to have found a disturbing discovery. I don't know. This is weird. Okay, so this is totally woo. That's why it's last. But I love this kind of shit. So it's like for me, it's like I look forward to the end. That's why I run long. But they claim to have found a disturbing discovery related to American DNA. Researchers claim that most American samples contain an average 0.7% unidentifiable genes, not being able to be assigned to any racial group and not appearing to be human at all. Researchers claim that the amount of this anomalous DNA in the American genome grows year after year and is only found in American samples. I mean, personally, I hope vaccines was the first thing that popped into your head. 7.7%. And that means it's not 100% working on everybody, or 2024, by that point, only 0.7% were able to be transformed into hybrids or are hybrids. There's a lot of ways to look at this. A lot of ways. Don't know for sure which answer is correct, and likely is honestly a mixture of all three. But 0.7% of the samples they received. First off, if you're a hybrid and knew it, it'd be odd for you to send in your own genetic information. That would just be bizarre. But yeah, for people that aren't hybrids yet, possible. Who knows? Who knows? I thought that was very interesting. 0.7%. It's quite a few people. It's quite a few people. Like hundreds, probably. I would think. Dozens and dozens for sure. 0.7%. I can only assume 23andMe has gotten 1 million plus samples, probably well over that. So yeah, I mean, that would be quite a few people. Hundreds, probably. We'll see. We'll see where you guys fell on that. I wonder how many of you guys sent your information in. A lot happening, folks. I don't know. The world's changing so fast. Try to figure stuff out. Ask questions. Whatever you're interested in, ask the universe. Ask God to show you whatever. And you'll be amazed where you'll end up, what stuff will pop up in front of your face. It's the best thing I can say. Don't necessarily ask somebody else to show you where it's at unless they're experts at it or something. But no, just ask. Ask God. It'll show you. Trust me. Just kind of wait and see. You'll be a trip. Just live your life normally anyways. Don't necessarily stop living. But a lot's happening. Lots changing. Trying to get the wars to stop. Still wonder what's Taiwan. There's a lot of speculation, both sides of that. Actually, a lot of people kind of saying that maybe a war is not necessary. That might very well be true, especially with us doing chip manufacturing here. It might not be necessary to have Taiwan be this this place that has to be protected at all costs because we can't let China have it. Maybe that won't matter anymore because China would control the chip manufacturing if they had control of Taiwan right now. Now, I think we make chips in some other places, but we need, and like Trump's doing, he's bringing in that factory here that's going to make that great chip. It's denser, so it's got more throughput. It's not necessarily as fast as another brand that makes chips, but it's actually throughput does way more volume per second, if you will, per, I think it was like cubic milliliter, cubic millimeter. It might have been, I don't remember what it was. Somewhere like that. There's millions of transistors and this, I forget the measurement. Whatever the case is, so much stuff's happening, guys. I love it. I don't know. I can't help it. We're going to continue. I'm going to keep hanging with you guys. Hopefully you'll keep hanging with me as well. A lot going on. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, please. And if you haven't hit the subscribe, please do all those things, especially if you're at this point of the video. I love you guys. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.